Next option under the purchase menu is debit notes. With this debit notes option, user can record the purchase return details. By clicking on the debit notes option, it opens to debit note search page. Here user can create a new debit note and it shows the details of already created debit notes. It shows the details like supplier name, debit note number, debit note created date, purchase reference number, current status of the debit note, item total amount, tax details, total debit amount, used debit amount, and balance amount. These are the details included in the data table. Here the total debit column shows the total amount of particular debit note and the user debit column shows the amount which is adjusted with pending purchase invoices. On the right side of the data table, we have a view icon here. This view icon enables the user to access the debit note view. While clicking on the view option, it redirects to the debit note view. Next one is the more option. More option includes 4 more options. First one is the view option. This view option enables the user to access the debit note form and it helps the user to access the details like transaction details, product details, tax and trade details, etc. While clicking on the option, it opens to debit note form. The second one is the refund option. With this refund option, we can record the refund details of the particular debit note. The third one is the export to PDF option. If the user wants to export the created debit note form to PDF format, then it can be exported by using this option. The last one is the print option. Print option enables the user to take the printout of the created debit note. So these are the options included under more options. The cancelled type of debit notes are highlighted with red color. Here the red color indicates with cancelled debit notes. Now let's take a look at which all other options are available in the debit note search page. On the left side of the page, we have a filter option here. This filter option helps the user to filter or customize the debit note data. For that, user can enter the invoice number or a party name and can filter by date option. If the user selects by date option, need to enter starting date along with the end date to access the data. User can also filter the data by status. Here user can select the required status. By clicking on the apply option, the details will appear on the basis of the data we entered. Next to the filter option is a search bar. With this search bar, user can enter a supplier name and can access a particular type of data. Next is the add new option. This option is using for the purpose of create a new debit note. Next to the add new option is an export option. If the user wants to export the debit note data to Excel format, then it can be done by using this export option. Now let's take a look at how to create a new debit note. For that, click on the add new option and select the option purchase. Here user can record the debit note of purchase and bill also. When we clicking on the option, it redirects to new debit note form. So this is the form of new debit note. Here user need to enter the following details to create a new debit note. First one is the reference number. The reference number of the debit note will automatically appear here. User cannot change the number or cannot edit as it will be the continuation of the previous one. Next one is the date. Here user can select the required date. After select the date, the next is to select the supplier. By clicking on the select option, the list of created supplier will appear and user can select the required one. After we select the supplier, the details of the supplier like phone number, GST TIN, email ID, etc. will be automatically appear here. If the user want to create a new supplier, then it can be done by using this add new option. Next is the invoice number. After we select the supplier, the invoice details of that selected supplier will be appear here and user need to enter the required invoice number to create the debit note. When we select the invoice number, here is an option to load all items. Click on the option load all items to add the products into the grid. When we clicking on the option, the product details will be added to the grid and here we can see the product or service name, product service code, HSN details, unit, quantity, MRP, rate details, discount details, etc. If the user wants to delete some products from the grid, it can be done by using this delete option. When we clicking on the delete option, the products will be deleted from this grid and user can edit the quantity details of the product. If the user want to edit the quantity, then click on the option here and user can edit the quantity. After we select the product details, on the right side of the screen, we can see that the calculation of the transaction will be automatically appear. Here it displays the subtotal amount, discount before tax details, line discount details, taxable amount with GST details, etc. On the top right side of the page, we have a reason option here. With this reason option, user can enter the reason to create the debit note. By clicking on the select option, the available options will be appear and user can select the required one. Next, the description column will be available and user can add descriptions if required. After enter the details, click on the save option to save it as a new debit note. Here we have clear option and exit option to clear or cancel this form. When we clicking on the save option, it redirects to debit note view page. So this is the form of debit note view. It shows the details of created debit note like debit note reference number, purchase invoice number, purchase details like product details, rate details, tax and item total details, etc. Now let's take a look at which all options are available in the debit note view. On the left side of the page, we have a new debit note option here. With this option, user can create a new debit note form. Next one is the filter option. With this filter option, user can filter the debit note details under the supplier. While we clicking on the filter option, it opens your tab and user can filter the details based on the status. Next, here we can see the list of debit notes that created under the supplier. It shows the details of created date, debit note number, amount and the current status. Next, here we have an history icon. This history icon enables the user to access complete history details of the debit note. While we clicking on the option, the debit note history tab will be appear. It shows the details of debit note created date, created by the user, amount details, and such kind of details will be available. User can add a comment if required. If any refunds are recorded with this debit note, then such kind of details will be available here. The next option under the debit note history is invoice applied. Invoice applied is the process of applying or adjusting pending purchase invoices with the debit note to avoid refund. So if the user applied any invoices with the debit note, then such kind of details will be appear here. It shows the date, invoice number and the amount credited details. So these are the details included in the debit note history. Next to the history menu is view journal. View journal option enables the user to access the journal view of this particular transaction. Next one is the zoom in and zoom out options. And next, here we have 3 options are available to adjust the paper size. Next is the edit option. If the user want to edit the particular transaction, then it can be done by using this edit option. While we clicking on the option, it redirects to debit note form. Next one is the export to PDF option. With this option, user can export the created debit note form to PDF format. Next is the print option. Print option enables the user to take the printout of the created debit note. Next to the print option is the email option. With this email option, user can send an email to the supplier related with the debit note. Next option is the apply invoice. With this apply invoice option, user can apply pending purchase invoices with this debit note. It helps the user to avoid refund and can adjust the debit note amount to pending purchase invoices. While we clicking on the apply invoice option, pending purchase lookup tab will be appear. Here it shows the details of pending purchase invoices like invoice number, invoice date, invoice amount, invoice balance, and here user can enter the amount. The total credit of the debit note is given here and these invoices are created under the selected supplier. After we enter the amount, we can see the differences here. While clicking on the OK option, user can save the apply invoice, and when we clicking on the OK option, validation message will be appear with invoice adjusted successfully. Next to the apply invoice is more options. More options include refund and cancel option. If the user wants to record refund with this debit note, then it can be done by using this option. The second one is the cancel option. If the user wants to cancel the debit note form, then it can be cancelled by using this option. Here we have an exit option. While clicking on the exit option, it redirects to debit note search page. So these are the details included in debit note form. Thank you.